Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages.
I
Stop the
am,
slut shaming.
well, I am
Yeah,
fucking pissed. I am
I'm pissed too.
pissed.
We
Yeah.
should
And
be because
yeah, this is
we're like, yes.
so every time there's a controversy, right, and it blows up, there does get this amplification of certain voices. And these are voices who have said things of the basically, well, one literally said it's time to put the book back in the nightstand. People have said they should be ashamed. We should bring the stigma back. Romance books in general do still have a stigma of the ripped bodice, of the it's just mommy porn, smut, and we've talked about the title of smut and like taking it back and whether or not it's actually happening, like, or whether it's not doing the good that we think that it's doing. And right now, there's a lot of voices being amplified that are pissing me off because they're harmful, and I'm gonna let somebody else talk first while I just pour some more wine.
Well, they're
To
not
me,
based in
this
fact anyway,
no,
because
this
no,
is
why
all
would you want to do
emotion.
research?
It's all
If
emotion,
you're
and
using
what really makes me upset is it's such the misogyny hitting back again. It's all those voices are there, but now they feel like they have the right to speak up, and now they're even more righteous about it. Like the smut needs to go away. It's destroying our world, or whatever it is, and it's the opposite. Women are getting stronger over this and standing up for ourselves. And what's sad is the people don't like change. They want women to stay in that role. They want us
yes.
to stay, and when we start going,
And not be
no,
empowered and not be
yes,
educated with sex positivity and to understand the worth of love and mental health and coping and so many positives that come to millions of people, probably a month. I was going to say a year, but probably a month.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like
And
I don't know the statistics, unfortunately, but I do know that 1 in every 2 women, half of women, will experience sexual violence. And
Mhm.
of them, 25% need a coping mechanism that includes some of the darker themes in
Yes.
order to work through their trauma. And like there's been so much psychological research and so much neurological research on these issues. And it really upsets me and it gets me very anxious when we start hearing these voices being amplified because censorship, banning
Mhm.
of books, and legislation being proposed is very much happening in our real time. And it
Yes.
wasn't that long
Yes.
ago that romance books
No.
were censored.
No. So those amplified voices are being even more like, and then you get that mass mentality where somebody hears this and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it's like the pitchforks and
Mhm.
and
And
you're
their
like,
anger with these voices that are saying it are saying things that we would agree with, right? Like we just had a podcast where we discussed, I'm not sure if it'll be in order or not, but where we discussed the sexual harassment that male models, that our guest have experienced on the show, that and that happens, and we are in agreement that that is wrong. However, these voices will utilize that and that anger and slip in this idea that it's because of the books, that
yeah.
the books
Oh,
need to
it's
be
always the
punished,
books.
right? And
Yeah.
it's not the minority of individuals who are, as we've discussed before, I believe the word that we used was feral.
Feral. Yes. That's my
I would
favorite
just,
word
yeah,
these days.
Fair.
I'm still blown away. I cannot imagine yeah, it still blows my mind that this even happens.
This goes back.
Um,
Go
hmm?
ahead.
No, go
It's
ahead.
just like going back about like right now, and I'm forgetting what state this is happening to. They have just taken out libraries and
Oh
put
yeah.
in now it's punishment centers, basically, like if so no longer can this kid go to this books, I mean library, and get something that maybe will educate or help them or maybe cope. Now it's just all punishment. And so it's that same thing that we're on right now. And so when you take something that was bad, but they're not doing it in good faith anymore. They're doing it for
It is
their
in
own,
bad
like
faith.
it's in
Correct.
Oh yeah.
bad faith, and they're
It is
taking
all in
everything.
bad
You
faith.
can't umbrella the entire romance section of and
No.
go there. It's all bad. This
It's the
one
whole
person
punish
acted out.
everybody for the
Yeah.
one thing. Nobody
Yeah.
gets this anymore because one person did this. And it's we're all aware that romance books don't make these individuals sexually harass hockey players. Right.
Yes.
This is the
Yeah.
controversy that has brought about this language and has brought about this idea of romance books being bad and needing to be put back in the nightstand and needing to be censored. No, no, a minority of people, in my opinion, and unfortunately, I still, again, I'm on my healing journey. I'm still learning about myself and I'm learning about others, but I do believe that some people just simply are bad.
Yes.
I love to give grace and I have hope that people can move forward and be progressive. I know that I can. I know that other people in my life have made mistakes and have moved on. Not with sexual harassment, but other other things.
Yes.
However, I do think that some people like we can't help what some people are going to do, and whether they're in our community or at a music concert throwing shit at people, like that's not all of people who enjoy music.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Or people who enjoy that particular artist, like that's an individual
situation.
situation.
If it's about just the books, then what about all the women that have been molested and harassed and constantly, that's not over books, that to
but
blame
don't you
something
know,
like that.
Oh my God. I was going to say, don't you know, it's not all men. Like, oh my God, the number of times that I have brought up this issue and that is the response that I get. And it's like, no shit, but who's doing it?
Yeah.
Can we take a look?
How do we know?
Exactly. Who's doing it to boys also?
Mm-hmm.
Who and why are you trying to bat down? Like, why are you taking this conversation and and literally and be like, we're not going to talk about that because of this. Like, let me center me. Like, I've had way too much wine. I've had way too much wine for this conversation.
Makes a better hot take.
It does. It absolutely does. But it's infuriating because it's why don't you want a solution to this problem?
Right.
Why don't you want to identify that, acknowledge that this is happening, acknowledge, hey, it's also primarily men, acknowledge that mental health is not great for men. Admit that sexual aggression in men is very high. And let's look into this. Let's try to fix this. And that sexual aggression, I think, is also what leads to this shaming of sex education in women, or sex education in general. The shaming of romance books, the shaming of women being proud.
Men should be dominant, don't you know? They should be the dominant ones.
In my books, they are. In my books, they are.
My girls are just as dominant in my books too. So
not in mine. I think my books are very much therapy. And I've actually looked back at a number of my books and like the things that have happened. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel relief when you give in to submission, even forced submission? Like, why does this help me? And the fact is, I'm looking into that, but other people don't.
Right.
They can just read it and cope. They can read it and feel better and move on in a culture where they will not receive justice, where half of women experience sexual violence and less than 1% of perpetrators will receive justice.
Yes.
Which means we just have to deal on our own. And you know what? People should be grateful that we have our romance books. They should be grateful that we can.
I think most boyfriends and husbands should be grateful.
Yeah, that too. I was just talking about aggression in general and anger in general.
But the others,
yeah.
But I just find it's funny how this controversy, and maybe because right now social media has kind of let it be, a woman finally does it to the opposite and it blows out of the water. And there's reports in, magazines and Rolling Stone,
ESPN.
The double standard is astounding.
Double standard of this is disgusting because women don't go through this daily.
I mean, it is a good headline if we're talking about marketing. I'm always the devil's advocate for the worst thing. Oh my God, please don't cancel me for this. But I'm just saying it's a great clickbait.
That's what
oh my
they
God.
want, though.
Yeah, that's what they want.
That's all they want.
It's very much. I've seen book talk weirdos.
Yeah.
I've seen smut nerds. Please don't I might be a book talk weirdo, but not like that.
Yeah.
Not like no, we do not condone this. We are not okay with this. Please stop trying to punish me for somebody. I will take accountability for myself, left, right, and center. I will not take accountability for anybody else.
No.
I did not
we
do
shouldn't
that.
have that put on us either.
Exactly.
There's no reason.
Those magazines, should be shamed for doing that. That's disgusting to call out a whole.
Well, it's just
I wouldn't. None of
shit.
those.
It's all it is.
It's the clickbait.
There's no journalism anymore. It's just let's get clicks and let's just regurgitate the same stuff. Other people are saying. We won't actually look into it, or
exactly. I look into things when I read it, right? And I have been infuriated and enraged. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe. And then I look into it and I'm like, are you are you fucking kidding me? I was ready to go to war. And then I look into it and I'm like,
It was
this
a
is
hill.
not...
I was on it.
And literally, I was ready to die on it. And then it's like, this is, I'm going to get back to fucking TikToks and crystal packing videos. Like,
yeah. And sometimes then we just got to breathe. But I think what's scary is normally like, I just got to let this go because they'll, blow over, whatever. But I think because in this environment right now with the banning of the books, and you've seen so many horrific laws being placed in that, it is a lot scary. There's a lot more writing on, and us women, we can't even control our own bodies anymore. And they're slut shaming us also for this other stuff. So there is a time where, the panic button is high, and don't call us emotional. This is our lives. And, this is completely justified.
And I hit that panic button last night right after we had, I don't know what order this is going to come in, but yesterday we did a podcast and we talked about how we should not go on social media when we're emotional. And I went on, and the first thing I said was, I just said you should not go on when you're emotional. And I have whined, but here we are. And I was going over these comments, I'm on a one woman, I was a woman who had posted about this controversy, and somebody commented about how romance readers should be ashamed and this shouldn't be something that's promoted so heavily. And she commented, I'm a one woman crusade right now. I've already posted. And I'm like, first of all, you sound like a pick me bitch. You sound like a pick me bitch, a one woman crusade. Like you're the only person in the world. Like you're not. Sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably should not have said that. Yeah. But all I could think is I was just heated. I was absolutely heated. And I did this 3-minute TikTok, and then I sent it to Sophie. And then I sat there and I was like, do these people even care?
No.
I was like, and so I deleted it. And then I made another TikTok that was more educational. And it was talking about, that all the things that I've witnessed within this industry, how we've had bullying to the extent of telling people that they should be quartered in the streets, strung up, that they should go unalive themselves. We've had authors who we thought unalived herself. And a few years later, she came back and she was like, just kidding. Let the fun begin.
Now we've had, my book? You're like,
we've had so much wild, absolutely wild things. And it's because we are a community of millions of people. What we don't see are the masses that are empowered every single month or educated every single month, who move forward progressively and peacefully and consensually.
Yes.
And they're in control of it and are able to cope. Like we don't see that. That doesn't go viral. And by the end of the second TikTok, I was like teary-eyed. And then I sent that one to Sophie, and then I deleted all of it because I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to do what I do, which is to provide an escapism for some people, to help me cope with my shit, because Lord knows I got a ton of it, and to keep bringing the smiles on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I do have that too. I do have it.
You still have it?
I did record it. I didn't delete it from my phone.
Yeah. Do you know how many authors have that? Because we're used to writing, we're used to vocalizing ourselves, and we have to a lot of times stay silent because we get on a subject and it's like, oh, you shouldn't be, you should shush.
That's not your brand.
So I have so many too, and I know we're not alone. That there's a lot of authors that will be like blah 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 blah, and then be like, oh, okay, let's sit on this. Let's sit on But
and then the hateful voices that come for you are the loudest voices.
100%. And then it's like, are you giving your platform to them? Right. Are you feeding the trolls when your audience is like, hold on, like I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. Or, hey, like I don't want you to be mad, or I don't want you to be sad, and I don't know how to deal with this. I have struggled with that immensely because it's like, what do I want to provide to these people who I'm helping? And I want to continue to help them. But at the same time, when all of these voices are being amplified, am I helping my audience by being silent? Are they getting attacked? So that's last night. That's where my head was, and what I decided.
But are you giving power to the negative
and
voices?
Amplifying their voices? Yes.
Well, sometimes I feel like we prolong because then somebody else has to do another TikTok. Then somebody else.
Everybody has an opinion.
Opinion's already been said. No one needs to hear mine too. Plus, we're not just amplifying work, like it's carrying on now for months, where it could have just stopped and shut up, the first time. We could have just not responded, and all of us, but everybody has to have a take on it. And it just after a while, I'm like, now we've just extended this to keep it going, to keep it rising, so Yeah, it's a hard fight because we all want to have our say. And now with social media, especially TikTok, everything is so in your face and everybody's opinion is right that moment. Like, so,
and they can manipulate by like agreeing with the emotion that you're feeling that this is wrong while slipping in something else that's harmful. And you find yourself listening to it, and you find yourself maybe being like, especially if they're not in our community. And with TikTok and YouTube, the algorithms will take you outside of the community. And then you have these other outlets like Rolling Stone, like ESPN, where you're now inviting other voices who know nothing, are not educated, but they now have an opinion because they agreed with the emotion. And now they're going to regurgitate all of those statements that you just said as if it's a fact, as if it's true, as if it has any worth at all. But like my team said, everything blows over, and this will blow over. Here we are, though. We're doing a hot take. How many months? Let's just keep it with the positive. But we're in the meantime, we're gonna keep fighting the good fight.
We keep fighting, and we keep writing, and we keep hoping bring joy to our readers, and that's all we can do. Yeah,
and empowerment and coping. Yes. And progress in a good way.
Some
positivity.
Yeah.
And maybe a little alcohol. Woosah and alcohol.
A lot of alcohol. A lot of alcohol, a lot of romance books. It's kind of what we're about. We're dealing with today.
And I think
we're dealing
majority
with
of people
culture.
would say that. Like, you know, give me my romance books, a little alcohol, some woosahs, and maybe a dog. And
what is a woosah?
Woosah. Oh God, it was like I'm probably showing my age. It was the Bad Boys, where every time it was not Will Smith, it was the other character. Like every time he got really upset and agitated, he'd be like woosah, and he'd rub his ears. He'd be like woosah, woosah.
My cousin Pam said that today. She said she had a woosah, and I was like,
that
is that like Akuna Matata?
Like he rubbed his ears and he's just like woosah, woosah, and it would just calm him back down. And so I always say have a woosah moment.
Maybe the next time I want to do a TikTok, I'll just
Martin Lawrence
instead. It makes me feel I love Martin Lawrence. It makes me feel good though to take my TikToks, express my opinion, give it to Sophie, even though she didn't see any of it. I ended up deleting it all. But it makes me feel like at least I got it off my chest. Yeah, even though I mean, it was only me who received it. But
it's your video diary.
It's sometimes that everybody probably should do that first. Is just get it off your chest, let it sit there, and then maybe you later go, I'm glad I didn't post that. You know, I've done that where I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I didn't post that.
Like, I don't want to get into this. I do not want to amplify. Like, I have a very large platform, and I do not want to give any kind of credibility or amplify any of these voices that are saying, you know, that smut readers should be ashamed, that we should put our books back in the nightstand. Like all of this stuff is just, it's sickening.
My question is, these people that are shaming, have they ever read it? Have they ever picked up a book and tried to read it and then have a conversation? We had in our community, they were trying to ban books in our school library. And I kind of went toe to toe privately with another parent and said, did you read the book? And she said, well, no, but I heard. And I said, no,
I heard.
You do not have a valid opinion in this situation because I have read the book. I have educated myself. You're going off hearsay. And it's kind of the same situation.
If
you're going off hearsay.
Well, if your opinion is a repeat of somebody else's opinion,
exactly,
it's not an opinion.
No,
you're just vomiting somebody else's words.
Yes.
An opinion isn't fact. I wish people would get used to that. Your feelings aren't facts, and opinions aren't facts.
I have a sweatshirt that says it's from this company that's all about mental health, and it says "Overthinker since birth." And then on the sleeve, it says your feelings are not facts.
I follow them because I
love them. I don't know what the name is.
Look at it every day. Okay.
Literally, literally, it helps me so much sometimes because we do spiral sometimes and we do get into our heads sometimes. And I'm like, no, let me work with reality. Let me work with what's actually true, what's actually happening, not what left, right, and center and 1,000 comments on TikTok and all of these people on YouTube and all. Like, let me just work with what's actually real. And what is real is that romance books benefit millions of not just women. Men are also men are benefiting from their partners being happy, but men are also benefiting from the sex education, the coping, like all of that also. So it's an amazing genre, and we should have more love in our
Yes.
culture.
Love. Let's bring less violence, more love.
Be
Thank
a
you.
better world if everyone was more loving and accepting. Please.
It would be.
I mean,
it would be. And
mind
all these
your own- yeah.
freaking Puritan people who
yeah.
want to
Yes.
shame and try to ban and try to oppress. The most common, this also might get me canceled. The most common phrase in the
I'll agree
Bible,
with it.
the most common phrase in the Bible is to love one another.
Yes.
My favorite
Yes, it
is
is.
above all these things, love one another deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that spreading love, because I am a Christian. I also practice a little bit of craft, but I was raised a Christian, and I believe in loving one another.
Yes.
So, and I wish that a lot of people who spread a hateful message from a book or regurgitate the words from a man in a suit at a podium, whether it's a politician or a pastor, would think back on that. Is this loving? Am I
Mhm.
loving? Am I spreading love? Because that's the number one thing. So
The end.